Which is worse, never doing anything or doing a bunch of things and failing at a lot of them? I know which one you're probably going to say. The one that's worse is never doing anything at all. But the problem is you may not actually be doing that yourself. You can say one thing, but if you're actually doing something else, it shows what you actually believe. On a side note, Finland has a National Failure Day. It's literally a thing. I think it was created in 2010, and it's just all about having a day where you try things and you fail at things. And it's a totally countercultural idea to what we're used to, the thought of never failing. But our generation and me and the world we live in, I think is probably going to have a bigger problem never doing anything in which we fail in the first place. And maybe it's because we're scared, maybe it's because we're lazy, but the problem is we're never going to do anything great because we're never going to do anything in which we can fail. But before we dive in, failure is so much about perspective, because you could say I failed at this video if it doesn't get so many views, or I could say I succeeded at this video because it got 1 view because I watched it. You can name whatever you want to. Failure is a lot about perspective. So I'm not encouraging people to lower their standards. What I am encouraging people to do, and you'll probably get the gist of that in this video, is try things even if you don't have an absolute chance of succeeding. Because the best way to get things done is to just do it. And sometimes when you just do it, you do fail, and you do get punched in the face, and you do get hurt, and you do fall off the skateboard, and you do make a movie that just stinks, and you do write a book that doesn't get published, and you just do a business that folds after a couple seconds. And when you do things, you can fail. So I'm not encouraging you to go into with a mindset of failing, but just be okay with failure. As the adage goes, you can fail at a lot of stuff, but you aren't a failure until you give up. So where does this feeling of failure come from? Why do we never want to fail? I work with several people, and I've gotten to work with a bunch of people, and have this attitude of they either are a failure and they're just down in the dumps all the time. We don't want to be that. Or they're way too far on the other end if they just do not want to fail. They do not want to do anything in which they can fail. I think it can be easy to blame education, and I'm going to point a good finger at education because I think it stinks, but everyone treats it a little bit differently. Everyone treats failure differently, and we're all mostly through the same education system. I think parents play a big part, so it may not be necessarily your fault that you're scared of failure. I think sports play a big part. We want to win, and is annoying when we don't win. Storytelling, the role I like to do, making movies, stories are all about success. And when you fail, it's typically a sad part of the movie, or it's a disappointing part of the movie, or it's a tragedy because there's failure involved. And I think from an older age, when war was more prevalent and absolutely happening all the time and everyone had a chance of being in war, I think that was a pretty good idea where not failing came from. Because if you failed, you literally died. It's terrible. But now our understanding of failure is from war. And from this generation where war was happening all the time. And now we're in a world where we have hobbies and we have jobs and we have a bunch of freedom from the people who fought in all these wars. And now we're scared of failure. And we're thinking that failure means death, when failure just means you might get a little bit embarrassed. And so the same people that would go into war and do something incredible and had the chance of dying if they failed, they went and did it anyway. And now we're faced with a lot less serious circumstances. In some ways, it could be a lot graver in the future, and yet we don't have the courage to go do it. And it's not very black and white, because as Reed Hastings, the co-CEO of Netflix, at one point said, failure is not okay if you're working at a nuclear reactor. It's not okay to just be creative and try things and fail. Now, if you're in a creative job, it's okay to do that. But there's some jobs where failure is really not an option, and you shouldn't even be okay with failure. But not every field is like that. And sometimes I think we take our lessons from the wrong field and we say something is an absolute when it's not an absolute. It's something that could apply in this situation, but it's okay to fail in certain areas. In the kingdom of God, failure is a big part too. One of the most famous people in the Bible, Paul, failed a lot. He says he can boast in his weakness because when he's weak, then the Lord is glorified even more. One definition I heard of success in a church setting and following God was success is obedience regardless of the outcome. If you obey what God has put on your heart, that's success. Now in the real world, in the day-to-day, just going about life where you maybe aren't thinking of that or cognizant of it, then all of a sudden that paradox can still apply. If you try something, maybe it's a success. It goes back to if it's your perspective. And I also think it comes down to really, if you're not okay with failure, it's just deciding, do you hate losing or do you love winning? It's just a sport analogy, because if you really hate losing, you can make sure you don't lose whatsoever. You can make sure you don't make a mistake. You can make sure you never fail. But just because you don't fail doesn't mean you aren't going to win. But just because you don't fail doesn't mean that you're going to win. In Built to Last, Jim Collins talks about how if we want to change the world, we have to stand for something. We don't just stand against everything, or we don't just have random values and ideals. Like, you have to stand for something. That's how you change the world. If you want to succeed at something, you got to be okay with failing. And you got to be knowing that you want to win so badly that you're okay with failing, or you want to be successful so badly that you're okay with failing, or you want to pursue that relationship and have satisfaction in life and leading a family or being in a relationship, and you're okay with the fact that it may not work out, but you're going to give everything you've got. I think about it as a lot like a knight being sent on a mission by a king. The king knows the goal and what's going to happen. And if the knight comes back, or if the knight fails, of course, it's going to be sad. It's going to be disappointing. But if the knight doesn't go in the first place, then that's an absolute failure. And sometimes I think we protect ourselves from failure. We don't want to fail. We don't want to mess up in a hobby. We don't want to see our YouTube channel fail. We don't want to see our book not get published. We don't want to see our business just be embarrassing to all of our friends and family that we try and get to buy something from. We don't want to see failure, and so we just don't do it. And we just stay brainstorming, and we just stay in the nice, safe, comfortable area. And yet by doing that, we're actually failing at life. By not saving because we don't think we're going to save enough, well, we're just failing. Failure is not desirable, but it has to be a possibility. It has to be an option. Because if it's not an option, then there's a lot of things you can't try. Boxing is something where if you go into the ring, you're gonna get hit and it's gonna hurt. And you can say, if I got hit, that's a failure, I'm leaving. But then you're never gonna win a boxing match. But if you don't get in the ring in the first place, you're definitely never gonna win a boxing match. But in order to win, you have to get hit a couple times. There has to be a possibility of failure. I just think about the times I've learned the most. It's when I failed. It's when I messed up. It's when I realized I was so confident that this was going to work, that this story idea was going to work, or that this idea of this way of filming it was going to work, and then it didn't, and then I learned something. Or I was very confident in something, and I learned because it failed. Failure is how you learn a lot in life. Go fail at something. Use discretion. I mean, don't endanger other people. If you're single, you have a lot more opportunities to go fail at some hobbies because you aren't damaging anything else or hurting anyone else. And it's okay to fail. Maybe don't have that as the goal. Maybe in a small thing, have a goal of just failing at something to get used to it. It's okay to fail, but it is okay to fail. See, I had the chance to work with an incredible actor. For me, he was kind of the dream actor to work with. I'd been watching Descendants. I'd been watching X-Men Days of Future Past, and there's an actor named Boo Boo Stewart. And I just thought this guy was cool. I mean, he was awesome. I think he's a great actor. And in 2021, I wrote a script and had this idea to get Boo Boo Stewart in the movie. That was my goal. And to me, I was just so excited about it and getting some other actors in there. The goal was just to get a good actor in there. But my goal was Boo Boo Stewart. And so I actually got pretty close. I got so close because I got an answer from his agent. And his agent was like, well, I'll send him the script. And then Boo Boo liked the script. And he said, can I jump on a Zoom call? And I was like, oh my word, this is wild. I'm about to get on a Zoom call with my dream actor. And so I jumped on the Zoom call and I talked to him about it with him, and actually went out to LA to go film with one of the other actors for the movie I was working on. And I knew on Friday was when we could film with Boo Boo Stewart. So it was Tuesday and we were filming with another actor, and I get a call and I'd send an email saying, hey, to his agent, hey, can he do it? And when I got there on Tuesday, got a call and he was like, yeah, he went ahead and passed. And so at that moment, you could say I'm a failure. I didn't get Boo Boo Stewart in my movie. He's never worked with him. I've been on a Zoom call with him, that was fun, but you could say I'm a failure. Got another actor to do it. He wasn't near as well known, but I had an actor in the movie and I made the movie. Failure is all about perspective. But I probably wouldn't have made a movie in the first place. I probably wouldn't have made it to that level with that level of actors if I'd never had the chance to just go at it and be okay with failing. And so whatever you're doing, it may not be a movie, who knows what it is, but it's okay to fail. Failure is an option. Now, of course, use discretion. There's some areas where it's not an option, but failure in the creative, in the hobby field, in the business field, in the freedom of America, and whatever you have set your mind to, it's okay to fail. Because if it's not okay to fail, you're probably not going to do anything in the first place.